York Mets play the St. Louis Cardinals. Tonight's game is presented by Chevrolet. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the New York Mets. By Hospital for Special Surgery, the official hospital of the New York Mets. By Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. By StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the New York Mets. And by Hyundai. Hyundai invites you to get in your comfort zone with the most advanced Elantra yet. Visit your Hyundai dealer today. Action inside the ballpark. Well, there was action out in the parking lot today, too. Ow! Oh! It takes a while to get those old muscles loosened. You don't want to strain a labrum or anything. Fans getting up close and personal with some of their favorite ex-Mets. Look at that. He's still got it in him after all these years. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets take on the Cardinals, Game 3 of a 4-game series. For 5 weeks, the Mets had sole possession of first place in the National League East, but with the Mets' loss and the Nationals' walk-off win last night, they're now tied for the lead. So the question is this just the ebb and flow of the season, or is this two ships passing in the night?
Well, we knew when the season started that the Nationals were really probably the class of the division and one of the classes of the league, the National League. They got off to a bad start. They had their share of injuries. They struggled. But Bryce Harper has really stepped up. He's leading in 7 offensive categories right now. Home runs, RBIs, runs. He's just having a heck of a year. He's really carried the ball club. On the Mets side, the pitching has held it together. They got off to the great start. No one was going to run away with this. If anybody in the start of the season was going to run away with it, it was going to be the Nationals. But the Mets have enough talent and enough pitching to stay in the hunt, and I firmly believe that this is the ebbs and flows of a season, and the Mets are going to be playing meaningful games in August and September. One of the reasons the Mets are tied for first place has been the remarkable performance of Bartolo Colon, who tonight makes his last start as a 41-year-old.
You know what I love today? Someone asked Terry Collins, what do you think of Bartolo Colon? He said, I think he's terrific, and he really has been. Except for one start, his last, he has been great. You can see the historic numbers based on balls last start, but also one walk the entire year.
Great talent on the mound for the Cardinals tonight. Carlos Martinez trying to make that transition from the bullpen back to being a starter.
Well, he was unbelievable out of the bullpen in 2011. He's done a lot of good things. He hasn't really gotten situated as a starter, but this is a guy who has lights out stuff like Michael Walker last night. It's whether he throws strikes or not.
It's a chilly night at Citi Field tonight. The wind blowing strong out of the northwest. Bartolo Colon's jersey and hat ready to go. So is the big guy. Mets and Cardinals coming up on SNY. Prism. Now your team can collaborate at a whole new level with video walls from Prism. Learn how at prism.com. By State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the game is Steve Boyle of Connecticut. Contact Steve at agentsteveboyle.com. Make sure to salute. And by Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Be sure to get to Citi Field Saturday, May 30th, when the Mets take on the Marlins at 7:10. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Mets beach towel courtesy of Pepsi. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Tonight's Game Changer brought to you by T-Mobile. Bartolo Colon, 42 strikeouts for every walk. He's walked only one batter this year. That was in his first start. 7 straight starts without a walk. He's only 2 1/3 innings away from the all-time Met record for consecutive innings without a walk. Time to vote for your Mets All-Stars. You can vote 35 times on the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot at Mets.com. Voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote at Mets.com now. And now Bartolo Colon makes his way in. It's a slow walk, but he'll get there. Bartolo Colon getting ready for his 9th start of the year, trying to become the first 7-game winner in the major leagues. And there is your Cardinals starting lineup, brought to you by Hyundai. We'll show it to you again in a second because Colton Wong just swung at the first pitch and fouled it back, and we're underway. So there is the lineup, back to the unit that Mike Matheny had out there for the first game of the series against the right-hander. He rested some of his left-hand hitters last night, and that worked as the Cardinals scored 10 runs. Most of the Mets have given up this year. And Wong takes a strike on the inside with that 2-seamer, and it's 0-2. Wong 2 for 11 in the series, hitting .301 on the year. Carpenter and Holiday to follow for the Cardinals, who are 26-13, best record in baseball.
Well, usually when Bartolo has a rough outing, you know it early, and he got shellacked the last time out, and usually he bounces back with good stuff.
Lined over short, and a base hit for Wong to start the night.
And here comes your Metsy defense, brought to you by Lexus. Kadire, Lagares, and Granderson, your trio out there, and Campbell. It's just the Mets have a steady lineup here. Plawecki back in. He's been kind of going back and forth now with the 3 catchers, which I love, Gare.
Any particular reason?
I like 3 catchers.
Wait a minute, I got to do the big Bart Jeep numbers. 6 and 2.
Matt Carpenter went 0 for 6 in the opening game of the series Monday night. Sat out last night, and he takes high from Cologne for ball 1. Carpenter hitting .314, second in the league in doubles with 16, third in the league in on-base percentage with that .376, fifth in slugging. He is simply one of the best players in the National League. That flag may not give the full sense of how hard the wind is blowing tonight. It's blowing about 25 miles an hour out of the northwest. 60-degree temperatures, so you can imagine just how chilly it is in the ballpark tonight for the 20th of May. And Wong just able to get back in ahead of that throw.
What's nice about 4-game series is the only time I like them is when it's against a really competitive team. It's not the second division teams. You got to watch a lousy team come in for 4 games. But when you got the Cardinals coming in, or the Dodgers, or the Giants, and it's 4, it's exciting.
Beautifully done by Cologne. 2 quick moves over there, and then he held the baseball, which froze Colton Wong. Holiday on deck. Those are the things you have to do to stop the running game. Vary your times to the plate.
And he has been adept at that. 186 batters without allowing a walk. A phenomenal stretch for Cologne, who is the Mets' first starter ever to go 7 straight starts without allowing a walk. If he gets through 2 1/3 innings without a walk tonight, he would match Brett Saberhagen's franchise record for consecutive innings without a walk. He didn't walk anybody in his last start, but gave up 6 runs and 7 hits and gave them up in short order early in the game against Milwaukee on Friday. Shallow left, and Kadire angles in. And that's the first out of the night. So Carpenter retired, 1 out and 1 on. And now Matt Holliday, 1 for 8 in the series, but he continues to reach base in every game. 37 straight games to start the season. Since 2000, the only player who's had a longer streak to start a year was his former teammate Albert Pujols, who went 42 straight games to start a season getting on base. Holliday hitting at .315. And he takes one the other way for a base hit. Wong is going to pull in at second. They've been taking liberties on Granderson the whole series, but Wong that time pulled up.
Now this is the 3rd ball game here we've been observing the Cardinals offensively and their approach at the plate. They use the opposite field, Gary, as good as any team I've seen, better than any team I've seen this year thus far. We haven't seen everybody, but boy, oh boy, when they got that runner on first base and that hole in right field between the first baseman and the second baseman, they know how to hit it that way.
Hitting coach John Mabry, also Bill Miller is one of their assistant hitting coaches.
So a first inning threat for the Cardinals. Matt Adams the batter. Adams 2 for 5 in the series. Didn't start last night. Wong and Holliday with base hits. And Cologne dials it up to 90 and gets ahead on Adams.
Adams came in here in a slump, and he swings right through that one. That had some plate, but he hit the ball hard the opening game of the series when he was in the lineup.
Cologne going after him with high fastballs, gets ahead 0-2.
Well,
Adams got a little uppercut working.
Yep, he can drop on that back shoulder, and Cologne can get him upstairs. And Bartolo, of course, the old sly fox, spots that one.
Johnny Peralta hitting 5th in the order on deck. And Adams down on 3 straight fastballs. How about that? 2 out.
All in the same spot, away and around belt level or up just slightly above the belt. Gary, watch the back shoulder drop. Oh, and the bat angle is going to be you can't get on top of that pitch.
So 2 out and 2 on, and now Peralta 3 for 8 in the series. 6 home runs, 1 behind Carpenter for the Cardinal club lead. So a remarkable stat on Peralta today. Last year, 21 home runs led the Cardinals in home runs. The last Cardinal shortstop to lead the team in home runs, Rogers Hornsby in 1917.
Oh, that's right.
Before they moved him to second base.
That's right.
Straightaway center, long run back for Lagares, and it's over his head, bounces up over the wall. That'll cost the Cardinals a run. It's a ground rule double. Wong scores, but Holiday will have to stop at third. So Peralta with a long double to give the Cardinals a 1-0 lead.
And with second ball, we've seen get over Lagares' head. You don't see that too often. Peralta is one of those hitters I've been observing that I think, Ronnie, correct me if I'm wrong, as a pitcher, you think you can get him out one way. Fastball belt high out over the plate, squares it up nicely. I think you can get him out one way, but he's one of those hitters that it's hard to figure out.
I think that we forget about. He's a very intelligent hitter when he goes up there. He has a plan.
So a very big batter early in this game for Cologne as he faces Yadier Molina. A run in and 2 in scoring position. Molina 4 for 9 in this series, and he's been red hot. Last 15 games, he's hitting .400. Holiday at third, Peralta at second with 2 out. In his last start, Cologne got through the first inning cleanly, but then gave up a run in the second and then a 4-run third, including a home run to Ryan Braun. And his day was pretty much ruined. Trying to avoid the same kind of fate early in this game. Behind Molina 2-0 with Jason Hayward on deck. And he bounces one foul.
You know what's interesting here is, as a pitcher, you have to identify, do I want to pitch to Molina behind in the count with the base open, or do I want to go after Hayward? Well, Cologne showed you right there he's going to go after Molina.
He's old school. He doesn't give in.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of pitchers say I didn't give in that time, throw him a breaking ball. This is the old-fashioned I don't give in. I'm going after the hitter.
Milwaukee's setting up inside. And Cologne gets it over the plate. Molina lifts it down the left field line. Kadire over, but it's in the crowd, a foul ball. And that was a mistake that Cologne got away with.
Ball was up in the strike zone. I think he might have taken a little off trying to sink this ball down and in, and left it middle. And it had just enough off that Molina got ahead of it just a bit. When he needs a strikeout, Cologne goes to 1 or 2 places against right-handers. Tries to freeze him on that fastball away or that sinker down and in.
2 in scoring position with 2 out. 2-2 to Molina. Lifted to shallow right. And Granderson is there. And Cologne minimizes the damage in the opening inning. Peralta's double, though, puts the Cardinals in front. Mets come to bat against Carlos Martinez when we come back. The first, Carlos Martinez, just 23 years old, already some very positive postseason experience under his belt, and now trying to make his mark as a starting pitcher, which was always their intent. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup. Kevin Plawecki back in the lineup. Otherwise, the Mets running out the same unit as they have in the first 2 games of this series. Mets have been held to 3 runs or fewer in 15 of their last 21 games, including the first 2 games of this series.
Well, you see the Toyota numbers for Carlos Martinez. He could be a Pedro Martinez light. That's the kind of stuff he has. 3-2 record so far. He wears number 18 in honor of his late teammate Oscar Taveras.
They were terrific friends, both from the Dominican. Curtis Granderson takes a strike.
There's OT. Wrote the initials of Oscar Taveras on the back of the mound.
1-1 to Granderson with Campbell and Duda to follow. Now, Martinez is a guy who in the minor leagues was a starter. They brought him to the big leagues and they had a wealth of starting talent, and they put him in the bullpen, and last year they started to transition him slowly to starting. He made 7 starts, but worked effectively in the postseason as a reliever. This spring was in a competition for the 5th starter's job, won it, got off to a good start, but he's had trouble getting deep into games lately.
Well, he throws a lot of pitches. He's averaging about 17.5 pitches per inning.
And he gets in for a call, strike 3.
It's a little backdoor slider, Keith. Does it catch the corner?
Downward tilt too, Archer.
Molina stole that. So he catches that late against his chest.
Curved around the plate.
Back in, curved around the plate, but he caught it nicely.
Doug Eddings, the home plate umpire, has a reputation as a pitcher's umpire.
This whole crew has been pitcher friendly, but that's okay.
Eric Campbell 1 for 9 in this series. It's his 5th game since coming back from the minor leagues. His 20th start overall.
It's Michael Walker on the left, John Lackey on the right. Both pitch fine ball games. Walker with the win last night. The Cardinals are 8-0 in his starts this year.
Well, the Cardinals have pitched better than any team in the major leagues. The Mets have the 2nd best staff ERA, and so it probably isn't surprising that when the Cardinals score first, they usually win. But to the tune of, when they score first, they're 17-2 this year. That's the best in the National League. The Astros, amazingly enough, 18-2. They won again today. Dallas Keuchel won his 6th game. He's 6-0 with a 1.67 ERA.
Well, you can do it a lot of different ways. There's Lucas Duda on deck. Keuchel's a guy who doesn't overpower you. Sinker, slider.
The Cardinals, for all of their pitching success, are probably going to be in the market for a starting pitcher with Adam Wainwright out for the season. They're still trying to figure that out. Campbell lifts one deep to left. Back goes Holiday, gets turned around, but he has room to make the catch.
And like the ball to center field that went over Lagares' head, that ball stayed up in the wind.
And a quick look at the Coors Light Cardinal defense, and Matt Holiday got turned around there. He circled the wagons, but he made the catch. Grichuk out in center field. Adams back in the lineup. Carpenter back in the lineup. Molina, he's got to get a day off tomorrow, does he not, folks?
Well, we thought that after the 14-inning game Monday night, after their 5 o'clock arrival Monday morning, 5 a.m. Well, here's Duda with 2 out and nobody on. Lucas 1 for 6 in this series. Cardinals have been pitching around him in big spots. Takes one the other way foul. Cardinals have the full shift on against him.
Pretty easy gas from Mr. Martinez. 95 miles an hour. That wide stance on the mound. Very, very reminiscent of Mr. Wainwright. Adams had such a big influence on all these young pitchers. He has influenced them on the field with the way he's a gamer and goes out and pitches, but also off the field and getting ready for each and every start.
Well, think about the generational nature of that. Wainwright got most of that from Chris Carpenter.
That's right.
And the word on Martinez is that he's throwing his changeup a lot, and it's a work in progress, and we're seeing it so far in this first inning.
Toward the shift. Nice play by Wong. Off the bag, though, and he throws it by Adams, backed up by Molina. And Duda is safe at first. They'll give him credit for a base hit.
Nice play in the hole. Plenty of time. He just didn't make the play. I'd get that an E4, Gary. I'm sorry on the throw.
I think because of how far he had to go and having to spin around, I think that's what the scorer went with.
It's either an E4 or an E9, one or the other, from where he threw it from.
Now, if I was hitting, it's a base hit.
Could be E10 if it were softball.
There you go.
So the Mets have a 2-out base runner. Now Michael Kadire, 2 for 9 in this series. And he takes one the other way toward the line, but overcomes Hayward, who was playing that way, and makes the catch. Hayward playing perfectly in the opposite field against Kadire. 1-0 Cardinals after 1. Second inning, Jason Hayward leads off for the Cardinals and takes a two-seam fastball for a strike. Hayward 1 for 5 in the series, hitting just .243 on the year. Cologne comes right back but misses inside, 1-1. Randall Grichuk hitting 8th in the order on deck, and then Carlos Martinez for the Cardinals in the second. Pitches all inside or in off the plate.
You've got to pitch Hayward inside. Oh, Marines.
Right back up the middle, a base hit. So 4 straight pitches inside. He finally got one over the middle, and Hayward takes advantage of it for a leadoff hit. Well, here's Randall Grichuk, who has had as bifurcated a 2 days as you can possibly ask for. Monday night, 5 strikeouts and an 0 for 6 night. Last night, 3 extra base hits, a double, a triple, and another double. How unusual is that? Well, since they started keeping track of hitters' strikeouts over 100 years ago, no player in Major League history had ever had a 5 strikeout game followed by a 3 extra base hit game, ever. That covers a lot of territory.
Well, you're only as good as your last game, as they say.
So, but how do you shake it off, Keith? How do you shake off a 5 Ks is not like grounding out 3 times and striking out twice. 5 Ks get your attention, makes you. Well, you said what? Line him up, Joe. But I mean, how do you get out of that and come park the next day and have the confidence to lace out 3 extra base hits?
Well,
especially as a young player.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if you were a 5-10-year veteran.
well, one thing, it was Harvey that made him look so bad. You got to realize that Harvey's one of those upper echelon pitchers.
A little bloop and due to back and foul ground for the first down.
If you're going to fold your tent, then you might as well go and ask for a job somewhere 9 to 5. I mean, these guys are here. They've had their bad days. Now, granted, when you're a younger player, it has more of an impact. I mean, if you're a rookie and you're doing that, or you're struggling and you're a 220 hitter, that has a greater impact on a hitter as opposed to, say, Matt Holliday, who's a batting champion. He's got the numbers. Granderson would be able to just be water off his back. You know what I'm saying? But you make the good point, though, Gary. The younger player, it's a lot bigger hurdle.
Carlos Martinez, 1 hit, 2 sacrifices this year, and he has to avoid getting jammed as he fouls it off. 0-1. I guess my question would be, when you're scouting, which is what every organization has to do to evaluate talent that might be successful in the major leagues, you can look at bat speed, you can look at statistics, you can look at all the things that scouts and the analytical people look at to try and figure out who's going to be successful. But how do you figure out who has the mental makeup to be able to bounce back from the bad days?
Well, it's not only the mental makeup. I think that's a big part of it, but it's also the insides. How do you measure a kid's insides, whether he can handle adversity? I mean, that's the toughest thing, and that's, I think, what happens in the minor leagues. People talk about the minor leagues learning how to throw, learning how to hit. As Martinez strikes out, learning how to throw strikes, all the different little things. You know what's just as important? If you're in a streak, how do you stay in it? If you're in a bad streak, how do you get out of it? That's what the minor league managers and evaluators are also looking at. They're looking at that kid that doesn't hang his head when he has a bad day. The guy who comes to the park after 5 strikeouts and runs onto the field and can't wait to take batting practice and take some fly balls. Those are the kids you're looking for.
And you know something too, Gary, when you got the minor leagues, and I agree with Ron, all the numbers in the world, all the statistics in the world doesn't show what's in the heart of a player. But it's a fine line, because you can get a label on your back in the minor leagues as a dog. That was a term you never wanted. Take your defense out to the field. But if you were a prospect, Gary, you're much more patient in the minor leagues with the prospects, where the coaches would come and pull you aside and say, hey, you can't do this. It's a long season. You cannot be pouting. They look for the quitters. You get rid of the quitters, and you look for the guys that can get, when the game's on the line, that's when they buck up. And there's a lot that don't. And that's part of the evaluation where the professional, the ex-players, the real players that are down there are best at evaluating.
And of course, every individual has different ways of dealing with adversity. In Grichuk's case, he said he woke up yesterday morning and listened to a motivational speaker, a tape that he said really got his head straight and allowed him to come to the ballpark and have the kind of day he did yesterday. Wong pops one up down the line. Granderson ranging over. And that retires the side. So Colon works around a leadoff hit in the second. 1-0 Cardinals. Murphy lead off for the Mets. Home second inning, 1-0 St. Louis. Daniel Murphy leads off for New York against Carlos Martinez. Murphy 2 for 9 in the series, a 2-run homer last night, accounting for all the Mets scoring in a 10-2 loss. That was the good for Murphy last night. The bad was his inexplicable play on a bunt that helped the Cardinals in a 6-run inning.
Terry Collins had an amazing quote about that. Sometimes players try to do the extraordinary thing when you only need to do the ordinary thing. And that's the last thing I have to talk about that subject.
I thought that was very well put.
Yeah, right?
Because that's so much of what plagues Murph at times, that he tries to do something beyond the scope of what his actual job is. And every once in a while it works, but often it doesn't. Gets jammed and flies one deep to center nonetheless. Back goes Grichuk, and he makes the catch right near the wall. Boy, Murph hit that ball a long way, and I don't think he got the fat part of the bat on.
Well, remember, the ball that Peralta hit carried over Lagares' head. This ball, when it left the bat, did not look like it was going to be hit this far. I think it carried, and the ball to left field, Holiday, did not carry. So I think center field right now is where it's carrying.
I think Murph hit it pretty good. He got under it.
Yeah.
Just a little bit under it.
1 out, nobody on. Here's Wilmer Flores, 2 for 9 in the series, riding a 6-game hitting streak. Martinez at 96 outside. Well, Carlos Martinez has gotten 3 outs other than strikeouts. They've all been in the air. His profile this year is as a ground ball pitcher, 2.5 ground outs for every flyout.
And Walker last night was a ground ball pitcher who got plenty of flyouts. So,
well, I wonder, as Flores has to move his feet, does that speak to the Mets' approach right now? Are they thinking long ball a little too much, trying to get them out of this team-wide slump?
I don't think so. I don't. I think that they've resigned themselves. That you play in this park here, Garrett. This is a big park still, even though they brought the fences in. You've got to hit line drives here. I'm sorry. Unless you're a Giancarlo Stanton, a power hitter, Nelson Cruz, that sort of player. I'm thinking doubles here. Doubles are very productive, Garrett.
I don't disagree. I'm just wondering whether you got guys trying to do a little too much right now.
That's a good thing to think about, Gary, because a lot of times when you're in a slump offensively, guys are trying to individually get yourself out of it when it really is a kind of a team effort to get it going. Kevin Long knows that.
Popped up, and Peralta settles under it. 2 out.
Well, the one guy right now on the squad that is struggling the most is this young man coming up to the plate right now, Juan Lagares. He's starting to fish a little bit. You know what? I'm not worried about it. The season has its ebbs and flows. You go through slumps. If you're a 300 hitter, you have less slumps. If you're a 280 hitter, you have a little more slumps, and a little longer, depending on what kind of hitter you are. He's going to come out of this and be fine. He says his approach has been up the middle. He's just going through a little period right now, and he'll come out of it and he'll start hitting again.
Well, those are the recent numbers, the last 11 games. However, in the last 3 games, Terry Collins hit him in the 9-hole, and he went 4 for 12 in those 3 games. It's not a big sample size, but at least he enjoyed some success in that unusual spot. That one hits him in the helmet. A slider from Martinez that didn't break, and Juan appears to be okay. Ray Ramirez, the trainer, is going to come out and make sure, but Lagares gets drilled.
Thank goodness it was a slider, not the 95-mile-an-hour gas.
This was a late reaction from Juan here.
Well, when you recognize slider, you're expected to break.
Didn't hit his helmet. It hit his shoulder.
Hit his shoulder.
Came up and the helmet flew off.
So that's fortunate.
First batter Martinez has hit this year. Gives the Mets a 2-out base runner for Kevin Plawecki.
One of the reasons that ball got Lagares is that for a hitter, when you recognize slider spin, you're waiting for that pitch to break at some point, and when it doesn't, there's nowhere for you to go.
Plawecki 1 for 5 in this series, hitting .224.
seen already that Martinez has two different fastballs, that four-seam riser and that good two-seamer. That's where he probably gets a lot of those ground balls from.
Ronnie, do you think they're putting too much on his plate, trying to make him a more polished pitcher right now when he's really got a great arm, fastball, slider, and maybe trying too quickly?
Well, I think what has happened to him, Keith, is that he used to have a great, and I mean great, changeup. That for whatever reason, coming out of the bullpen, where he had to come in and throw 98 miles an hour, he's lost that changeup. So he's got now two, I'm not saying mediocre, but two decent breaking ball and his changeup, but he doesn't have one great one. When he gets that changeup back, watch out.
Milwaukee grounds one down to Carpenter at third, and a close play at second, but they get the force on Lagares to end the inning. After two, 1-0 Cardinals. Help support youth baseball and softball leagues. Tonight, SNY invited 500 kids and parents from local youth baseball and softball leagues to attend the game. They represent some of the 77 leagues who receive baseballs and softballs from SNY. In all, SNY donated more than 3,500 baseballs to youth leagues this season. For more, let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, I don't know if you can tell, but I think about all 500 kids are right over here. Really excited about this being at the Mets game tonight. I'm here with Carlo Maucione. He works for the East Rutherford Little League. And Carlo, how much did those baseballs help and mean to your league?
Oh, it's a great deal for us. Getting all those baseballs really helps us with the cost for the league, as well as the kids get the opportunity to see a baseball that says SNY on there. And all the kids were excited, saying, wow, that came from the Mets. I was like, yep, that's where it came from. So they were super excited for that.
And then tonight, I'm sure they're super excited to be at a baseball game. I know some of these kids have actually never even been to a professional baseball game before. So how special a night is this for everybody?
Absolutely. As soon as we saw the stadium, as we were driving in, kids were talking about it. That's a baseball, saying, look at it, look at it. And a lot of them saying, oh, I've never been to Citi Field. So it's a great opportunity for them not only to experience this, but experience it together. As in East Rutherford, we try to have everything feel like a family, and the kids are experiencing this as one right now. So it's a great opportunity.
Experiencing being on TV as one right now. Everybody fitting into the frame. Carlo, thanks so much. Gary?
All right, thanks, Steve. And you can play ball all this week on SNY. Matt Carpenter with a leadoff hit against Bartolo Colon. Matt Holliday had an opposite field hit his first time up, and he pulls one through the hole, and he's 2 for 2. And the Cardinals have the first 2 men aboard in the third.
Well, the Cardinals have a professional hitting lineup, do they not?
There's no place to go where you can get an out. The 8th place hitter is Randall Grichuk, who we showed earlier had 3 extra base hits yesterday. So You know, everyone is a threat in this lineup.
6 hits now against Colon in 2 innings plus. Now we'll take on Matt Adams, who struck out on 3 pitches his first time up. Well, he's now had the most consecutive batters faced without allowing a walk. He needs to get through this inning to have the longest consecutive inning streak in Mets history without a walk. Both those marks held by Brett Saberhagen, set in 1994. Out to left center field. Back in the gap goes Kadire to get there, and that's the first out. Carpenter went back to tag, but belatedly.
Carpenter, I think, thought like I did up here that it was going to be getting the gap, and he's probably kicking himself because Kadire doesn't have the strongest arm. He's running towards center. He's backpedaling. He could have tagged.
You know, you've seen some balls that have carried. You've seen some balls that have sat down. And Carpenter made the wrong choice there. Tough one, though. Tough one to read.
Well, you've made the point, Ronnie, so far tonight. Center field, it's carrying. Left field, it's not. Here's Peralta, who hit one over Lagares' head in center field to prove the point in the first inning and drove in the only run of this game. Peralta's now hit in 8 straight games with that double. Time for Lowe's never stop improving. Well, this is the last start Bartolo Colon will make as a 41-year-old. And if he can win tonight, he would share second place behind Cy Young on the all-time list.
Wow.
Anytime he can be second to Cy Young, that's not bad. Sunday is the day that Bartolo will celebrate his 42nd. The Mets will be in Pittsburgh.
What a wonderful career.
210 wins, tied for second on the active list behind Tim Hudson.
Cy Young looked like a barber with that hairdo.
I don't know if that was his 41-year-old season when they took that shot. Cy Young was 41 years old in 1908.
Wow.
Won 21 as a 41-year-old en route to 511 career wins.
That one's safe.
Yeah.
So he was born 3 years after the Civil War ended. How about that?
Pulled toward the hole. Flores dives. Where's the play? Goes to second and gets the out. Might have had a better shot at third, but a very close play at second, and he gets the out on Holiday. And Mike Matheny will consult with his video people to see whether the Cardinals want to challenge.
I think he had a nice play by Flores laying out here.
Should he have gone to third?
It's easier for us up here in the booth. Your road is to get the lead. You're thinking first and second. You got to get the guy at second. He's out.
Not a very good slide by Holiday. Kind of came in around the base instead of that pop slide straight in. See how he kind of rolls around the base? Good play.
So that's the second out. Runners at the corners from Yadier Molina, who had 2 in scoring position his first time up and flat out to right field. So Colon trying to tiptoe around trouble here in the third. Carpenter at third. Peralta at first with 2 down.
And Molina's left some men on base in this series. He's had more than a few opportunities to drive in runs. He's hit into a couple double plays, I believe.
Yesterday, yeah.
First 2 times up yesterday. Had 3 hits in the first game of the series, but 2 of those came leading off innings. But he had that big hit and run single in the 9th.
Correct.
The first game that wound up tying things up.
Way off the plate. Way off the plate. But a guy that can cover the outside corner. He'll kill you on that outside pitch.
Kill you and go to right field in RBI situations with 2 outs.
Just a little under the ball. He's mad at himself there as a pitch to hit.
Well, he's an amazing player. We all know about the Gold Gloves and the increased offense over the years, but the fact that he played 14 innings Monday night after the Cardinals got in at 5 in the morning and it's been back in the lineup the next 2 nights is just phenomenal. 32 years old.
Gamer. And he has lost weight, huh, Ron?
Yeah, he has.
1-2 from Cologne, and he goes outside with a slider.
Those catchers tend to try to lose a little weight late in their career to take some of the strain off their knees.
And as you get, yes, you're right.
But Rodriguez did.
Yes, he did. We can talk about that later.
Two coming to Molina. And he fouls it away.
He had a pitch in his first at bat that he flew out to Granderson. He's had 2 or 3 pitches in this at bat. And you're right, Keith. He's a little under the baseball.
He's been under. Usually he's on top hitting line drives. It's such a fine line to being right in the middle of it, in the groove. It doesn't take that much just to be a little off. Got a cowboy in the background there, don't we?
Murphy slides over, gets the force, inning over. Cardinals get the first 2 men on, and Bartolo Colon squirms out of it. Still 1-0 St. Louis. Also, don't touch that dial.
That's right. Funny, he's got some new tape on his bat. I always notice those kind of silly things. Blue tape at the bottom of the color that bat is.
Do you think he taped his bat himself?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, why not?
You can't. No one would tape your bat for you because there's a feel that you want on the bat.
But how would he know what that feel is?
Well, I'm not saying that.
He pops one up, foul and out of play.
He just thinks he hasn't really gotten his power stroke down. A little extra tape at the bottom of it.
Yeah, nice swing on that fastball.
1 for 16 this year, 12 for 174 in his career, and he's never walked. And I say that only in the wake of Randy Choate drawing a walk last night in his first plate appearance in 11 years. He goes after a pitch out of the strike zone. Molina having trouble with it, and Colon beats it out.
That's living right.
You just never know what you're going to see.
Keith, check the spin on this baseball.
You got a platinum glove winner behind the plate, who should have used 2 hands. He should have used his glove, and you're right about the spin, and that's what did it.
It looked like Yadier was second guessing himself about picking it up, thinking that maybe it would have rolled foul. Colon was smiling the last 20 feet. He knew he had a chance to beat it out.
That's what you do, kids. Run through the bag. That was very nice.
Granderson pulls one through the hole, a base hit, and Colon shimmies into second base. So the Mets have the first 2 men on.
There's that hole between first and second when a runner's on first. That's situational hitting.
By the way, Granderson had taken the first pitch in 34 consecutive plate appearances before that one. Swings at the first pitch there and gets a base hit. So 2 men on for Eric Campbell. By the way, for the record, it was not a hit for Colon. It was an error on Molina.
Okay.
Just making sure we all have that straight. Nonetheless, it was the most entertaining moment of the night so far.
Who's the official scorer? I mean, that might be the last hit he ever gets.
You give Duda a hit in right field. You don't give Bart a linea. That ball was ripped.
Yeah, he hit it 3 feet.
Do you know how hard it is to masse on the baseball diamond?
He's like Yoda. One and 2 to Campbell, who fly deep to left his first time up. On a different night, might have left the ballpark, but Holiday was able to catch it on the warning track. Duda waiting on deck. And the slider in for a call, third strike.
The old backup slider, RJ.
So hard on hitters because you read it right. It's not breaking. You stay off it, right, Keith?
Yep. It just freezes you. It's meant to be outside. And it's got plate. It hits the inside corner. It just freezes you.
Second strikeout for Martinez. And now Duda up, and with 2 men on, the Cardinals have to adjust their shift. I mean, you got to be fearful of Colon stealing third, right? I mean, seriously, why does Carpenter have to stay that close to the bag when he wouldn't otherwise? It's not like Colon's going.
I would be playing back. You got to. Duda doesn't run well. You play defense, cover the ground, keep the ball in the infield.
Lucas had a base hit his first time up. Lines one into center field. That's a base hit. Colon goes to third. He'll stop there, and the Mets have the bases loaded. So Duda is 2 for 2.
Well, those pitchers gumming up the works, taking away their RBIs. Ball ripped. Good to see Lucas hit a line drive here.
Colon, station to station, had no intention of even thinking about trying to score.
I think he was a little afraid that ball might stay in the air for a second. So he wanted to make sure that ball got down.
So now Kadire with the bases loaded, 1 out, lined out to right his first time up, and he takes a strike. Kadire hit the ball over toward the right field line, and he hit it hard, but Hayward was playing over toward the line, and he is again. So a lot of right center open for Kadire. And that one skips on Molina. He stays with it, 1-1. 96-mile-an-hour fastball in the dirt.
Now, to be honest here, this is not good fundies from Molina, but he's so sure-handed. He's one of the guys you can sit there and go, okay, fine. You got the platinum.
Now, Martinez has 4 wild pitches this year, which is tied for the most in the National League. He can be a little erratic. Kadire drives one to center. Grichuk coming on, diving to make the catch. Colon didn't tag, and now he will not score. Well, the inexperience of Colon on the base paths shows itself there. Great play by Grichuk. Second catch he's made like that in this series. But Colon simply forgot to tag up.
But when you got a pitcher out there as a coach, you got to help them out. They're not used to being on base. You got to yell, get back, tag, tag, tag.
Well, the instructions should be anything in the air, you just stand on third, and I'll tell you whether to go or not. And that's not what happened there.
I'm sure maybe Tough did. Who knows? Didn't hear him.
Probably did.
So now 2 out. The base is still loaded. And here's Murphy, who fly deep to center his first time up. Run on contact, Bart.
Remember, as a third base coach, you can't touch the runner, but
he's pointing back. He's saying tag up. You see Tough pointing back to third. But that's when you got to bark the order, like what was it, Sergeant? Like what was it, Gomer Pyle?
Sergeant Carter.
Sergeant Carter.
Well, Murphy has had the knack for the big hit with multiple runners on base so far this year. But now he finds himself in a 2-strike hole. Murphy 4 for 6 with the bases loaded, and the Mets as a team hitting .471.
You know, we have a lot of fun with Bartolo Colon, and it's real funny until it's not.
Murphy taps one slowly. Carpenter throws to first, and Martinez somehow finds his way through the 3rd inning. An error and 2 hits, but the Mets can't score, and they're still down 1-0. Before the game tonight, my partners here were out in the parking lot.
That's my shoulder.
And having catches with various youngsters. This had to be an incredible thrill for the kids, and I guess you guys look like you were having a good time too.
Yep. And go ahead, Ron.
Well, that youngster right there could really play. If you watch him, he didn't go far enough. He could really play. I think he was like 13, 14 years old. He could throw.
And folks, I don't know if you noticed, but the little boiler I was showing out there, it's not the case. I was wearing a very thick vest.
I want to know, judging by the wince, how long it had been before since you had thrown a ball.
I haven't thrown a ball in a long time, and I've discovered that I've got 2 bone spurs on my shoulder. I have to get surgery next Wednesday on my right with Dr. Alchek. going to remove a bone spur. I got an 80% tear in my rotator cuff.
So you're going to be in a sling.
I'm going to be in a sling for 3 weeks. It's going to be a 10 to 12 week recovery, and so that's why I got it in there. I wanted to get out there with the kids and the fans before I get under the knife.
So I pitch for a living, and you're getting shoulder surgery. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I have much more appreciation for pitchers that get rotator cuff surgery, because I tell you what, it is painful.
But you're not getting it on your throwing shoulder.
But I have a bone spur in my left one too that they think that I can get away with without surgery.
Colon just missed. He thought he was going to get that call. Now it's 3-2.
Folks, we're going to do that more often. That was so much fun. This is the fastball that he tries to tail back over that inside corner. Eddings didn't give it to him. That was a blast. The kids had a blast. Yep. I had a blast. I hadn't thrown a ball in so long.
Well, I tell you what, it was our idea of our associate producer, Mr. Greg Pickett.
I'm sorry? Did you just give him a battlefield demotion?
Well, he's second in command. Kurt's executive. Greg's the aide de camp. So it was Greg's idea. I wasn't keen on it. It was cold. Glad I wore the vest. But you know what? I went out there and I had a blast. Great idea, Greg.
Hayward golfs one to deep right center. Lagares back in the gap near the wall, and it's out of here. Jason Hayward hits his 4th home run of the year. And the Cardinals now lead 2-0.
Always seems to be the case. You work so hard to try to put together a good offensive inning. It doesn't work out for you, and the next thing you know, the other team comes right back at you and scores a run.
Down and in, too much plate.
Can I ask you this from a pitcher's perspective, Ronnie? Colon has got this incredible streak going of not walking about it. It's now at 48 1/3, longest streak in Mets history. You don't get a call on 2-2. How does that play with your mind? You're in the midst of this walkless streak. Does that almost force you to throw a pitch that gets a little too fat?
Well,
Campbell with the sit spin and the wide throw, but Duda makes the tag, but no, doesn't get the out on Grichuk. And we'll see whether the Mets wind up challenging this. He got the tag on him, but was he across the bag when he tagged him?
I think he got him.
If he hit him, he's out, because it certainly was before he got to the bag.
Oh, I think it's an OUT.
Well, the Mets are going to challenge.
I thought he might have missed him.
You think?
I think he might have, with the sweep tag. Watch it. Does he catch any part of him?
I think. You know what my feeling is?
I don't know if he can reverse it with this look.
I think Lucas his reaction was what? And he never get a reaction from Lucas.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Like I felt like I did touch him.
Yep.
Play under review brought to you by Mazda. I'm with you, Ronnie. I'm not sure there's enough evidence to overturn this.
I agree.
If he did get him. Let's see.
But still not enough evidence to me.
It's tough. That's a tough one.
Okay.
I mean, of course, the faithful here think he's out.
Let's not take 9 years deciding.
Adrian Johnson was the first base umpire. I did not see him indicate as to whether it was that Duda missed the tag or whether he thought Grichuk got to the bag before a tag. And I don't know whether that influences how the folks on the replay side of things look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If Johnson's call was that he tagged him, but it was too late, do they tell the people back in New York that?
As opposed to calling he was on the bag when he was tagged.
Right.
I don't think they're going to do that. I think they just they called him safe. They're going to see if there's enough evidence to overturn it. The safe call.
I don't think they're going to overturn this.
No.
I mean, isn't that part of the reason why the umpire who made the call is on headset to explain what his call was?
That's what he should do. Yeah.
So I mean, we don't know. He could have just said he missed the tag, but it certainly is splitting hairs here as to whether the tag was applied. And that's why it's taken a long time.
While we're taking this time to answer your question, I think with Colon, as far as walks are concerned, I don't think he's going to center a pitch on a 2-strike, 2-2 count because he's the kind of guy that he knows the 3-2 he can throw a strike. So, but I know what you're getting at, and sometimes you can fall in love with. I have this streak of not walking anybody. Make sure I always throw a strike. Sometimes you throw too good of a pitch. I don't think that was the case with Hayward. That pitch was down. We saw him golf one off Familia with that sacrifice fly. So 2 balls out of the strike zone. He's hit well, Hayward.
Well, we'll get a call in a moment.
Here we go, finally. It's going to be safe. Yep. I agree.
It is confirmed. It'll be an error on Campbell.
I don't think there was enough evidence in any of the shots, any of the angles to overturn the call.
So the Mets commit their first error of the night, and now Carlos Martinez up there trying to bunt, which he could not do his first at bat. Better bunt this time, and Colon throws him out. 1-4 on the sacrifice. Murphy covering.
I think what's lost in all of that, though, with the replay, is that those are plays that got to be made. I mean, at this level, those should never have to be replayed.
So a runner in scoring position with 1 out for Colton Wong, who singled and scored in the first inning. Flied out in the second. Pickoff try, but Grichuk gets the hand back.
We've seen Flores and Colon do that a couple times now, so it's something you usually talk about before a game.
Wong in his swing needs to, in my observation, of course, swing a little bit more level on the upstairs pitch. He got a little bit of an uppercut, and he's not a big guy. He's a line drive hitter and a table setter. He learns to level off on that letter high pitch. He's going to hit 300.
Hitting .303 right now with 5 home runs. At age 24, Wong quickly developing into one of the best second basemen in the game. And Colon gets ahead of him 0-2.
Introduced to baseball fans in the postseason in 2013 when he was picked off first base to end the game.
Koji Uehara. That's an ignominious way to be introduced to the public. But you know what? He did a great job of handling all the media attention that followed, and then had himself a very nice rookie season last year. Back to Colon and right underneath his glove. Around third comes Grichuk. Lagares charges, has no play at the plate, and it's 3-0 St. Louis. So Wong, with his second hit of the night, drives in a run. And the Mets are 3 runs down. So the error by Campbell is cashed in.
Well, he gets ahead upstairs, and where does he get hurt? Well, that's a much better swing on that belt high pitch. Not a good location. Wanted to come in and bled it out over the middle. If it was that easy, everybody would be playing baseball for around $1.50 a game.
Supply and demand.
Nice with the economics there. Very good.
Here's Matt Carpenter, 1 for 2, single to right his last time up. So 8 hits now against Colon and 3 runs. Tries a changeup and ball 1 to Carpenter.
Who is the old Caballero down there in the box seats with the white cowboy hat on? every time I see someone at the ballpark here in New York with a cowboy hat, and I think of Clint Eastwood in Coogan's Bluff. Remember that movie? When it was the detective from the sheriff coming into New York City looking to take a criminal back. And he was from New Mexico or Texas. It's a great film. Good film. Love Clint.
Doing one to Carpenter.
When people ask me all the time about Bartolo, how does he do it? I always say that he controls movement as well as any pitcher I've ever seen. In the last 2 starts, he has not controlled his movement as well as he did in the first 6. That ball that's supposed to be in has bled over the plate. The ball that's supposed to be away catches too much of the plate.
And what is that, Ronnie? Is that just not getting a feel for the ball?
It's just, that's the rub of the game for pitchers, is that you have a great feel, and every pitch you throw, you know exactly where it's going, and then it leaves you for a couple of starts, and then it comes back if you're a good one.
So they kind of taken Bartolo out of his game, and I felt coming in, Ronnie, and I mentioned it, I thought it was going to be a tough mark for Bartolo here, because this is a disciplined lineup, doesn't swing at bad pitches, and Bart, if you're a free swinging ball club, he will expand that strike zone.
Second 3-ball count of the inning for Cologne. And he walks him, and the streak comes to an end. First walk since opening day. He had gone 48 1/3 innings without walking a batter. He had gone 205 batters without walking one, the longest streak since Greg Maddux had a 244 batter streak in 2007. And it ends with a walk to Matt Carpenter.
In yesterday's ball game, you called the picket fence, but then Murphy hit the 2-run home run, and then Jonathan Nice came back out and gave up 6 runs in that inning, or they scored 6 runs in that inning. And now Bartolo, in a 3rd inning that looked like the Mets were going to score some runs on the bases the entire inning, doesn't score a run. First batter he faces hits a home run.
And you wonder how much. I mean, it's not like he ran hard, but you wonder how much the trip around the bases takes out of it.
It's a combination of what Keith was talking about. A very difficult lineup, disciplined lineup, guys on base that are a threat of stealing, so he's thrown over a lot of times. It's a lot of things. All of those together have been a problem.
So already down in this game 3-0. He's got 2 men aboard and Matt Holliday at the plate. Holliday's already 2 for 2 in this game. Single to right, single to left. Loops one to shallow center. That's going to fall for a base hit. Good read by Wong. He's going to try to score. Lagares' throw not in time. And it's 4-0 St. Louis. That was a terrific read by Wong. He knew all the way that ball was falling in. Holliday is 3 for 3.
Well, he didn't hesitate, Garrett. Know where your outfielders are. Watch him. One look, a quick hesitation. Got a read and gone.
So 3 runs are home for the Cardinals here in the 4th. Still no action in the Mets bullpen. And now Matt Adams, who's gone 0 for 2 tonight, struck out and flied out. Still only 1 out of the inning.
Got him out upstairs last time.
Cologne, whose season began so spectacularly, 3rd straight start where he's not been quite as good. He gave up 4 runs in a win, gave up 6 runs in a loss, and he's already yielded 4 runs inside of 4 innings tonight. Top three in the Cardinal lineup. A combined 6 for 8 tonight. Long, Carpenter, and Holiday. Adams hitting cleanup. Takes just inside. 2-0.
You folks at home that were watching this, Peralta on deck, Colon, those early starts. I mean, every time he went inside to the lefties, that ball would move just enough to get that call on the inside corner. It's staying inside and not getting the call from Innings tonight.
So I do feel, Ronnie, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that Bartolo, he's a veteran. He knows coming in that this is a lineup that is disciplined and that he's going to have to be real refined with his pitches going in, correct? And when you're missing a little bit, he's working hard to find it. Stop the bleeding, correct?
That, and also when you become a veteran pitcher, there's a couple of things that go your way. One, your team's got to score a few runs, as he calls Plawecki out. And secondly, more importantly, you got to catch the baseball. The simplest of plays have to be made all the time.
Well, in his last start, an error opened the door for an inning. Same here after he gave up the home run to Hayward. Campbell with the wide throw. And the Cardinals have followed with 3 base runners after a sacrifice, single, walk, single, and now he's behind on Adams, 3-1. Third 3-ball count of the inning. That's unheard of for Cologne. And that's drilled to deep right field. Back goes Granderson, takes a look, but that's gone. Off the Y side, a 3-run homer for Matt Adams to break the game open. It's 7-0 St. Louis. 4th home run of the year for Adams, and that was well struck. Second home run of the inning for the Cardinals.
Crushed. And the pitch was up, Ron, and he leveled off. Out over the plate. It's up, and he squared it up, man.
Well, he saw enough pitches up. He made an adjustment, right?
So the Cardinals putting up big numbers for the second straight night. They scored 8 against Nice and 10 overall last night. They already have 7 against Cologne. Still only 1 out. Johnny Peralta, the 8th man up in the inning.
He's such a strong guy, and when he connects, it's going to go places.
The interesting thing about pitching is that a guy might have a weakness until he's ahead in the count, and then it changes. If you're ahead, you can attack a guy up in the strike zone like Adams, and then you get behind in the count. He knows what's coming. He knows you're probably going to attack him upstairs. He starts it a little early, and you end up with a bolt out of the stadium.
Well, the Mets had not given up a 6-run inning this season, and now they've given up 6-run innings on back-to-back nights. And the Mets finally get the bullpen cranking on a night where Cologne has been hit early and often. Jack Leathersich, first man up. Peralta down on strikes. 3rd strikeout of the night for Cologne, and the 2nd out of the inning.
Sinker.
2-seam fastball in. Runs in.
Tonight's Verizon trivia question. 3 Mets tied for the team lead in home runs in 1977.
Terrible year.
With 12. Well, that was.
Did that say that on the copy?
Terrible team.
Well, it was once they traded Seaver.
Yes.
And that was the year of the massacre, as they said. Beautiful sunset developing. Molina grounds one down to 3rd. Campbell this time makes an accurate throw to retire the side, but 9 Cardinals came to bat. 6 of them scored. Home runs by Hayward and Adams. We're celebrating 10 years of Mets baseball on SNY. After the break, we'll go back and relive another one of the thrilling moments from the past.
Well, Kev, I'll give you a quick rundown.
We'll start at the top with WAR.
Keith, these are definitely not pumpkins.
Maybe we can make a wall disappear. He goes behind it. Where'd Jimmy go? Who knows?
My case, I'm just happy to be on the air for a minute without getting kicked out.
I want to learn how to interview some of the players in Spanish.
Hello, boys. How are you?
Welcome back to Fenway Park.
¿Cómo tú bateas un triple?
Como tu maete triple?
Look like my doctor, but Dr. Vinny Boom Bats.
Look at what he brought. Orange juice.
This
nice
is a tri-tip beef.
I wish I would have shown you Wilmer Flores when he turned around and saw me on the ground screw. Sorry, Wilmer. I hope there's no divots.
Don't get any better than that. Thank you. Bye.
And co-star Danny Sessa. Earlier today, fans were asked to tweet their memories to @SNYTV using hashtag SNY10years. Today's tweet comes from Kevin. And we miss you, Kev. You did an outstanding job for your 8 years here. It was tough to watch you leave, but we know that you're now doing great things.
Well, talk about doing the grunt work all those years, and it did pay off for Kev. I mean, he's a superstar. Well, he's starring.
You know, it was the funny part. Seeing him in that kayak that was in San Francisco. The story behind that, folks, and Kevin was just unbelievable at his job. But Greg Picker, our producer, and Kevin were talking about, maybe you go out in that kayak. I said, well, how am I going to get out in the kayak? And I said to Kevin, well, I know the guy who rents out the kayaks. And Kevin goes, no, you don't. I said, I do. Here's his number. Call him. I'll call him first. You'll definitely get in the kayak. And he did it. It was funny. He was a kid that used to wait out of the Oakland Coliseum for autographs, and now he owns the kayaks in San Francisco.
Wilmer Flores leading off in the home fourth against Carlos Martinez, who's now been staked to a 7-run lead. Well, those Danny Sessa moments, I mean, that could have been a show. Forget about just, moments here and there. Danny was a union carpenter, I believe,
yes,
and worked on Citi Field. And while it was under construction, he would have a regular spot with Kevin. And really, I mean, Sessa was like, it was like from Central Casting.
Yes, he was.
This is perfect.
He was. That little piece there, he was talking about Jimmy Rollins. He goes, we put a door up, forget about Jimmy Rollins, he's done. I mean, it was just fantastic.
And of course, the reference to the pumpkins from Minute Maid Park in Houston.
Oh, yes.
The oranges on the train that Keith would occasionally call pumpkins.
Well,
at Minute Maid Park.
I said it affectionate, with affection.
Oh, that was just great. I miss going there, by the way. It was one of my favorite ballparks.
I like staying downtown in Houston. I didn't like the Galleria.
No, I was talking about the ballpark.
Well, but you can walk to the park if you wanted. Downtown Houston's kind of quaint. Didn't used to be.
I never know about Houston. They have a few downtowns, and I'm fine staying out of that town. Things just don't work out well.
Well, that's, you have a different view of that. Flores lifts one to deep left field. Holiday back. And again, the ball not carrying out that way, and Flores is retired for the first out.
Well, that's where my father and mother met, was in Houston in 1947. So I got to feel good about Houston.
So your parents might have spent some time in the courthouse steps just like me.
They got married at home plate.
That's what you're saying. You've seen parts of Houston that the rest of us have.
Yes, it's true. Very true.
Here's Juan Lagares, who was hit by a pitch his first time up.
Do you mind if I just say one more thing about that horrible night? Is that I was there, and I would have been there.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Lenny Dykstra that dragged me someplace else. I missed it. I would have been there. I don't know how I would have reacted.
Yeah, it was a strange night.
Pulled through the hole, and Lagares has a base hit. So Lagares on base for the second time. The Mets' fourth hit against Martinez. I'm thinking there are a whole bunch of people watching who have no idea what we're talking about.
In 1986, 4 Mets players, including myself, ended up getting in a scuffle with Houston police and ended up spending the night in jail. So that's what we're referring to, folks. One of the darker moments of many dark moments. Not had a great life.
It just added more to the lore and the mythology of that '86 Mets.
That's true. Here's Plawecki, who grounded into a fielder's choice his first time up. Johnny Manel is out on deck to bat for Bartolo Colon. So Colon's night will end early after 4 innings. And Jack Leathersich looks like he's ready to go for the 5th. So Colon gives up 6 runs in back-to-back starts. 5 earned, same as his last start. 6 runs in back-to-back starts, first time for Colon since 2011.
He'll bounce back.
Well, he will as a 42-year-old. Down to third. Carpenter with the quick toss. Wong with the turn. Nice hanging in against the slide of Lagares, and they turn 2. 5-4-3 to end the inning. After 4, Cardinals with a big lead for the 2nd straight night.
Not so much the turn. It's nicely done by Wong to get out of the way and pivot. Watch the quick release from Carpenter. No set. Threw on the run almost. That's why they turned it. Beautiful.
And that double play kept Bartolo Colon in the game. That's what a pinch hit for him. Had that double play not been turned, so he'll try and get through another inning to save some of the bullpen. Jason Hayward, who had one out of the ballpark his last time up, has to duck back on the first pitch. Hayward hit one over the fence in right center, his 4th of the year. Later in that 4th inning, Matt Adams hit a 3-run homer, a 6-run 4th inning for the Cardinals after they put up a 6-run 6th inning last night. Randall Grichuk on deck. Then the pitcher Martinez. Cardinals came into the night with the 2nd highest team batting average in the National League, 3rd highest on base percentage, 5th in runs scored. Well, you can tell Colon is not right. That's his 4th 3-ball count in the last 10 batters. He walked one in the 4th to snap his streak at 48 in the 3rd, and he just issued another walk. Hayward didn't know it, but he'll go to first base.
It's just a lot of quality at bats from this Cardinal lineup.
So Jack Leathersich, who was up the entire bottom of the inning. Gets up again. Here's Grichuk, who hit the ground ball to third that Campbell threw wide. Grichuk able to avoid the tag by Duda, which was upheld on review. And that sent the inning downhill for Cologne, and Grichuk drives one to the corner. Hayward racing for third. He's going to be waved home. Relay throw by Flores to the plate is cut off. It's an RBI double for Randall Grichuk, and it's 8-0 St. Louis.
Well, Hayward almost got killed on the slide. Ball ripped by Grichuk, and what a comeback for him after the 5 strikeouts. Rips a double down the line. Hayward is motoring. Well, they've got some speed on this ball club. But watch the slide. He almost gets killed on the slide.
So Grichuk at second and nobody out. A run in. It's 8-0. And here's the pitcher Martinez, who struck out and sacrificed. And not going to be bunting here with an 8-run lead. Ronnie, you're the pitcher. You're having a bad night. They sent you out there for another inning. You give up a walk. You give up a ringing double. What's the mindset right now?
Well, the mindset, Gary, is that when he went into the dugout, he was done. I mean, he just figured he was done. Linnell was up. He was in the batter's box. He shut it down. And when you shut it down mentally, it's hard to get it going again. And they've jumped him here for a run.
Strikes out Martinez for the first out, and they'll make the change now. Rather than take him out before facing the pitcher, they'll take him out after getting the out. So now Cologne's night is done after 4 1/3, and the Mets will double switch with Johnny Manel coming in to bat ninth. Leathersich will come in the game to pitch. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. 8-0 Cardinals in the 5th. We'll be right back. Start Friday against the Brewers, and an even worse start tonight against the Cardinals. Johnny Manel comes in the double switch. He'll catch and bat ninth. Jack Leathersich pitching to Colton Wong, and he gets the first pitch over for a strike. Leathersich worked an inning last night. Walked a batter, hit a batter, struck out a batter. Wong hits one toward the middle. That's a base hit. Grichuk will come home to score. the 9th Cardinals run. Wong with his 3rd hit, his 2nd RBI, and the carnage continues.
Clinic. Hitting clinic tonight.
Book now closed on Colon. He gives up 9 runs, 8 earned on 11 hits, and 2 walks.
Good breaking ball, good swing by Wong. The weight on that pitch. Hitting clinic, Milrose games, all kind of things happening here tonight.
Matt Carpenter has singled and walked tonight, 1 for 2. So Colon saw his ERA tonight balloon to 4.85 for the season through 8 starts. Saw his walkless streak end after 48 1/3, a new Mets club record. Gave up a couple of home runs. Had a base running mistake, which hardly seems to matter at this point. Only saving grace, there's a birthday cake in the offing. Strike 3 called. Carpenter's out. So Leathersich gets his first out, the 2nd of the inning.
Johnny Manel, nice job of framing this pitch. He yanks it back over that outside corner. Eddings gives him the call.
Now Matt Holliday, already 3 for 3 in this game. Single to right, single to left, single to center. He's driven in 1, he scored 1. People's United Bank starting pitchers tonight. Rough night at the office for Colon. And Carlos Martinez hasn't been perfect by any means, but he has been the beneficiary.
Martinez, who has control problems with no walks. Colon with 2.
Leathersich off the mound. Throws a strike to get Holliday, and that ends the inning. But the Cardinals tack on 2 more and lead 9-0 halfway through. Johnny Manel will lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 5th. Came in the double switch last half inning. And goes around to the half swing. Let's take a look at the 5th inning recap brought to you by JetBlue. Well, 10 runs last night, 9 already tonight for the Cardinals. Their second 6-run inning in 2 nights. Curtis Granderson on deck, and then Eric Campbell for the Mets in the 5th. And Monell pulls one down to first. Juggled by Adams, but gets it to Martinez in time for the out. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Curtis Granderson had a base hit in the 3rd inning. Mets had their best scoring chance in the 3rd. Colon reached on an error by Molina, who couldn't pick up his dribbler. Granderson and Duda had base hits. Bases loaded, 1 out. Kadire hit a sinking liner to center, and Grichuk made a great catch, but Colon did not tag, and then Murphy grounded out. And then the Cardinals, the next half inning, put up a 6th spot, and now on cruise control. Meanwhile, Martinez just hoping to go deeper into a game. 3 straight starts, he's failed to go more than 5 1/3, and he's got a 10.29 ERA over that span. But he's held the Mets at bay tonight. And he falls behind Granderson 3-0. There's a strike. The Cardinals have always intended for Carlos Martinez to be a starting pitcher, but his record as a starter in the big leagues is not pretty. 15 career starts, a 4.86 ERA. Granderson dead center. Grichuk back. 2 out. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Eric Campbell, who's fly deep to left and taking a call 3rd strike.
You know, Gary, they're working real hard on getting him on top of his breaking ball, getting his changeup back, because he's going to have that 95-mile-an-hour heater and that sinker to go along with it. I mean, it's a strange thing. In the long run, he was hurt because in the short run they needed him for the bullpen. All those times he was in the bullpen helping them in the postseason, you know, he could have been down in the minor leagues probably at this point more well polished than he is now. So he's going to take some lumps, but boy, he's got all the physical qualities.
Campbell caught looking, side retired. 2nd time he's been called out on strikes tonight. 5 scoreless innings for Carlos Martinez. Cardinals cruising. Sixth inning, Matt Adams leads off against Jack Leathersich. Adams last time up had a long home run to right center, his 4th of the year. And for Adams, it was his first extra base hit in May. It's May 20th.
Wow. Big, strong guy like that.
He only has 8 extra base hits for the season now. 4 home runs, 4 doubles among his 30 hits. He looks like a guy who would hit the ball out of the ballpark with regularity. Leathersich gets him looking on the fastball away. Second strikeout for Leathersich.
Might have been outside. You know what, guys? Frank Pulley would say 9-1. Don't get paid for overtime, guys. Swing the bats.
Sunday at Mets Insider, from those who have made the jump to the majors to those waiting for the call, get an inside look at some of the Mets' top talent in Vegas and the challenges they face being so close yet so far. On Mets Insider, presented by W.B. Mason, Sunday at 5, only on SNY.
They're so far even when they're so close.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. They're far in several different ways. Peralta hit the long double to center field in the first inning that opened the scoring in this game.
Change up there from Leathersich.
This is the first time since the Mets moved to Citi Field that they've given up 9 or more runs in consecutive games. The last time they gave up 9 runs in back-to-back games was in 2007 in the midst of their collapse. They had 4 straight games they gave up 10 or more. 1 against the Phillies, 3 against the Nats. September 16th through the 26th of 07.
You're still calling it the collapse.
In 07?
Yes. I love that terminology. It's a kinder, gentler nation. The collapse.
Dave Freed must be following the NBA. You're getting some nuggets tonight.
Peralta chases 1 that's 3-2. Popped up. Murphy with the angle. Staggers but stays with it. 2 out. So 2 out and nobody on. Yadier Molina coming up. Molina 0 for 3 tonight. Well, we sing Molina's praises all the time when the Mets play the Cardinals. After all, he's won 7 straight Gold Gloves. He's become an accomplished offensive player as well. Is he still the elite catcher in the game today?
I believe he's the elite catcher in the game today for all that he brings. He brings offense. Of course, he brings the great defense. He controls the game for Mike Matheny. Really doesn't even have to worry about in-game decision-making between pitcher and catcher.
He's what you really want out of a catcher. He calls a great game. We saw the leadership. What was it, the first game when he, or the second game or first game when he came out to the mound, called all the infield together. He's the leader of that team. There's more that he brings to the table than just his numbers.
So if Molina is still the gold standard, what other catchers in the game are at the next echelon?
I think Salvi Perez is the younger, bigger version of Yadi in Kansas City. Guy who plays every single inning, it seems, of every single game. That's what we saw in Molina in starting the first game here after getting in at 5 o'clock in the morning.
How about Russell Martin in Toronto?
Russell Martin is an interesting case study because he was an amazing all-around player early in his career, then lost a little bit and lost his offense, but then has regrouped and become that on-field leader again that he was early in his career.
I felt that Pittsburgh would miss him, and they have. Russell Martin, you're right, Ronnie. He had the great run early, and he tapered, and now he's back. I mean, you got to look at Buster Posey. I mean, he's such an offensive player.
And he may be a full-time first baseman before too long. Are there any younger catchers who maybe are destined to fill that role? Maybe the kid in Seattle.
Yeah, Zunino is a really good player. Mets saw him last year. He had a couple home runs. Tremendous power. But what they rave about Mike Zunino is his ability to call a game, put down the right fingers, block balls in the dirt. So Zunino has a chance to be that special breed of catcher.
We haven't really mentioned anybody in the National League, and I would imagine Travis d'Arnaud certainly would like to join that discussion. And as an offensive player, we've seen great development already. Is there anybody else in the National League?
You know, Travis is the only thing stopping him is durability.
Right.
You know, and that's a big thing with catchers.
No one's really opened my eyes, Gare, in the National League.
You know,
well, Jonathan Lucroy is hurt right now.
Yeah, Lucroy, when he's playing, I mean, he set a major league record for doubles last year by a catcher. So he's on that list. Remember, we saw it. The great thing, or the interesting thing about catchers, is they can start their career. Remember, we watched him, Lucroy and Randy Wolf pitching, and they could not get together, and Lucroy looked like he was not ready to catch in the major leagues, and now he's made himself into an all-star catcher. You love seeing that.
I mean, there was a time a few years ago that Carlos Ruiz would have been in that discussion, but he seems to have lost a lot of mobility behind the plate.
And he's 34, 35 years old. Grandal for the Dodgers. I know a lot of people sing his praises.
Ruiz was a guy that I think was brought more to the plate than just his numbers. I thought he was better defensively and meant more to the team with his leadership than with his bat, even in his prime.
And he was a good clutch hitter, as is the guy who used to be in Arizona, now in Chicago, Miguel Montero.
That we just saw, and he really impressed us.
I don't know how he fits in defensively. I know he had some issues with the staff in Arizona.
I think he's a solid defensive catcher, but his offense is probably ahead of his defense. It's just so much is put on the plate of the catcher in today's game. You know, there's hours in front of a computer screen trying to figure out the flaws of the hitters.
Hayward pops it up. Monell hoping. Runs out of room. Well, if you're looking for the greatest of all time, you may have to stop right there.
Yeah.
Well, you've got Yogi, but there too. What's such a great player. Johnny Bench, I played against Johnny, and I did not play against Yogi. Johnny Bench was a big guy, that was so quick, Ron, behind the plate. He had such great footwork and quickness.
Hayward strikes out to end the inning. First time he's been retired tonight. We'll talk more about the great catchers in history when we come back. 9-0 St. Louis in the 6th.
Top half of the inning, they were talking about the best catchers in the game today. As a young catcher, Kevin Plawecki, he looks up to a lot of guys around the league, namely Jonathan Lucroy, Buster Posey, and of course Yadier Molina. And when it comes to Molina, he said it's the nuances of the game that really stand out to him as a young catcher, namely two things. One, the way that he receives the baseball, such a strong wrist, not really snapping the wrist, which helps his pitchers get strikes. And number two, and this is something Plawecki said he's noticed more sitting in the dugout watching him this series, the way in which he sets up when a runner's at second base for the opposition, how late he sets up so as not to tip off the opposition. It's the little things that make the difference to Plawecki.
Well, what's good about that, Steve, is you see Gil Martin getting up, is that you got Met players paying attention and watching. I always said, watch this first baseman if you're a first baseman. If you're a shortstop, watch Ozzie Smith or the great shortstops in the National League. Keep an eye on the guys like Molina. So watch what they do. You can pick something up.
So Pete Cosma coming in to play shortstop, giving Peralta the rest of the night off. Molina out to talk to Martinez. So we started a little bit to delve into the history of great catchers. And, we showed the gold gloves, and, Johnny Bench won 10 of them. Keep in mind, gold gloves didn't start till 1957 when Yogi Berra was in the twilight of his career. But both of those guys did something that you don't see as much of anymore. Occasionally a catcher will move to first base, but Bench played a lot of third base. Yogi played a lot of left field.
Yes.
And we were talking earlier this season about the possibility of keeping d'Arnaud and Plawecki both on the roster, and the possibility of them playing another position, d'Arnaud in particular. I don't know if the Mets are inclined to do that, at least not this year.
Well, from what I've seen, and it's a small sampling from Plawecki, and remember, he's getting his feet wet. I think d'Arnaud is better defensively. But d'Arnaud, when he came up, was a little shaky. Remember, had a lot of pass balls. He's more relaxed now, so you don't know how they're going to develop. When you become more relaxed on this level and you feel like you belong, and then you get rid of the jitters and you start showing your skills. But right now, I think that d'Arnaud, to me, I think it was the most unfortunate injury the Mets have had this season so far.
Well, he'd gotten off to such a great start. Kadires hit 2 bullets tonight and been retired both times.
I think the toughest issue is that you can't allow Plawecki to be on the bench and not getting his at-bats, because you can't lose a year with him.
And the breaking ball misses inside, ball 4. First walk given up by Martinez. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple has a game break brought to you by Honda. So Pollock hits the game-winning home run last night as a pinch hitter, and he steals home tonight. It's versatility for you.
By the way, he can fly.
Yes, he can.
Pollock. That was a set play, by the way. Marlins bit.
So Dan Jennings in danger of going 0-3 as Marlins skipper. Did you hear the comments of Chip Hale, by the way, after that game last night? I guess Jennings didn't have a right-hander up in the bullpen when he should have, and it led to the Pollock home run. And, Chip said some things that basically intimated that he was very unhappy as a guy who had to really work his way up to being a manager, as a minor league guy, as a coach at the big league level, that somebody with no experience would be given a job, because he felt it kind of demeaned managers in general, that guys who have had years of experience and might be more prepared for that job get bypassed in favor of somebody with no experience.
Well, go ahead, Keith.
No, you go ahead, Ron.
Well, what I was going to say is that Chip's right, but welcome to baseball, 2015 version. The guys that are getting jobs now with no experience as manager are plentiful. It's happening over and over and over again.
Sounds a bit of sour grapes to me, and if Chip Hale was offered a job with no experience, he would have taken it too.
Well, the Pope, we talked about it last night, from Philadelphia went down, and Danny Ozark got fired and took over the Philadelphia Phillies in their great run when Schmidt and Luzinski years.
Well, I think we've gotten to a point now where I think Mike Matheny didn't have any managerial experience.
Precisely.
He's done all right.
Nor did Craig Counsell before he got the job.
Kevin Cash.
I think, I think there is a general trend in the game that the manager in general has become less influential and the front office has become more influential. I think that's a sport-wide phenomenon. And, so I think it's frustrating for the lifers who've been in uniform their whole lives and have worked toward big league jobs as Murphy strikes out for the second out. I think they feel as though the job of manager is being diminished in some fashion.
It's been diminished in some fashion for some time. I mean, they are, instead of calling them field managers, they should call them middle managers, really.
It used to be where the manager got to pick his coaches. I mean, you got to be 182 days on the road a season, and there's a bit of camaraderie. And what I've found a big change is that general managers start picking coaches. And you have a lot of managers that are isolated from their coaches.
Right. They may get to pick one. Some get to pick none.
And then there's no friends there. There's a lot of daggers.
Yeah.
Flores takes one the other way, foul.
Martinez 3 or 4 times has slipped when he's followed through, but hasn't fallen down until there.
Trying to get through 6 innings for the first time in his last 4 starts. Flores pops it up. And Wong puts it away, and Carlos Martinez has 6 scoreless innings under his belt. And a 9-0 lead as we go to the 7th. They're both in town to get their elbows checked out after Tommy John surgery this spring. So they got in uniform tonight to hang with their teammates. Daryl Siciliani will come into play left field as we go to the 7th. He'll bat 8th where the pitcher had been, and Sean Gilmartin will pitch the 7th inning.
And for the 2nd day in a row, you see his numbers so far. He's done a nice job for a guy that was a starter his entire minor league career and wasn't made a reliever until this spring.
Randall Grichuk continued his rehabilitation with an RBI double his last time up. Grichuk 1 for 3. He's scored 2 runs. He's driven in 1 tonight. And the first pitch curved by Gilmartin, dialed back to 68 miles an hour. I don't think we've seen that from Sean.
Making up pitches.
Bill Lee curveball.
Livan Hernandez.
The spaceman.
Jack Leathersich threw an inning and 2/3 in relief. No runs, 1 hit, a walk, 3 strikeouts. Grichuk just gets a piece. Hey kids, you can win a chance to join us in the booth and call a Mets game on SNY. Just go to sny.tv/Kidcaster, submit an essay on the topic provided, and you'll be entered in the SNY Kidcaster contest, presented by New York's 529 College Savings Program. Carlos Martinez out on deck to bat for himself. 88 pitches through 6 innings, so we'll try and get him through the 7th. And Grichuk smacks one right at Murphy. 1 out. So did you see Bryce Harper got ejected tonight?
I just watched the video of it. Pretty bad by Marvin Hudson's going to be in trouble, the umpire.
So Harper was arguing a call strike.
Yeah, which you can't do. And then what happened is that Matt Williams got involved, who was the manager, because the back and forth between Hudson, and this wasn't final strike, it's the first strike. The back and forth between Hudson and Harper was getting heated. That's when Matt Williams on top step of the dugout, you could hear him, his mouth go, "Do not bait him. Stop it. Do not bait him." He's saying that to Marvin Hudson. And Marvin Hudson looked at Bryce Harper and threw him out.
Williams get run as well.
Williams got run. The whole shebang got run.
And some dirt kicking, I heard.
Hudson's going to get run at some point because of it.
Now, educate me on this. Are we at the point now where if an umpire gets suspended that we hear about it, or does it happen sub rosa?
I don't know about that.
Because for years they never said anything about finding or suspending umpires. I think they've loosened up the reins on that a little bit, but I don't know whether we hear outright or just hear rumors.
Yeah,
Martinez strikes out for the 2nd out.
I don't know about that, but what does happen in baseball, and it's been happening for 100 years, is that, you know, Bryce got thrown out recently because he check swinged on a 3rd strike. He asked the umpire behind the plate, who called him out, to please check with the 3rd base coach. They went back and forth, and I think rightfully so. Bryce got thrown out, deserved to get thrown out. But that goes around the league, and the umpires talk to each other, and like, this guy's a hothead. Anytime he starts to go at you, be ready.
Colton Wong is 3 for 4 and has driven in 2 runs tonight. Well, that last game when Harper got ejected, that was in Arizona,
yes,
right? And Michael Taylor came in to replace him and hit a game-winning grand slam in the 9th off Addison Reed. So, might not be the worst thing in the world for the Nats. Gilmartin looking sharp, gets ahead on the count 0-2.
Big curve, then a sharp curve.
Well, he's got a starter's repertoire. So that was his role his entire minor league career, and he strikes out Wong on 3 pitches. So a very impressive inning for Gilmartin. 1-2-3 with back-to-back strikeouts. 7th inning stretch, 9-0 Cardinals. Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Lagares leads off the home seventh and takes a fastball strike from Carlos Martinez. Randall Grichuk has moved from center field to left field. Peter Borges now playing center, so Matt Holliday gets the rest of the game off. Lagares has been on base twice, hit by a pitch and singled to left. Daryl Siciliani is on deck to bat for the first time. And then Johnny Manel.
Well, you know, Gary, you've been hounding me the last few days about why I like 3 catchers. And there's a prime example right here. You've got a 9-0 ball game. You're making some defensive changes. Granted, the Cardinals only have 4 bench players. But you can't take Molina out because you're only carrying 2 catchers. Okay, now, just back off, man. And leave me alone.
And that's all I'm going to say about that.
So that's the totality of your rationale. It's a good one. I like it. Adams with another run to the railing, and again he comes out short. Well, we've been talking about catchers all night, so we should definitely refer to the 2 greatest catchers in Mets history, at least from an offensive standpoint.
Well, appropriately, one of the greatest offensive catchers in the history of the game, Mike Piazza, all-time home run hitter. I tell you what, too, Ronnie, I was here. He hit more of any player, not just catcher. I never saw anybody hit more clutch home runs in big ball games late to win a ball game than Mike Piazza.
That's the truth. Of course, the Mets have been blessed with some great offensive catchers as Lagares strikes out. You know, Todd Hundley comes to mind. Been blessed with some great defensive catchers like Jerry Grody. But as a two-way catcher, I don't think he can beat Gary Carter.
Well, by far the best. Breaking ball here to Lagares. You know, I was going over when I knew we were going to talk about the catchers, and found out that kid caught me 121 times. I mean, that's pretty fun for a pitcher to throw to him over 100 times.
Is that more than you had anybody else catch you?
Yes, yeah. Terry Steinbach was second with 92.
Gary came over here quite diminished. I played against Gary most of my career, and he was one of the most athletic catchers, and his knees really hobbled him, and we saw him ice his knees and tape his knees. Every game, before a game, a 2-hour ritual for him, and he would go out there and play every day. But when he was a younger catcher, no one threw it better than him. Great offensive player.
When he spent 11 years in Montreal playing on that AstroTurf, that had to take something out of.
Look what it did to Andre Dawson. He didn't catch.
Siciliani batting for the first time, made his debut last night, had his first big league hit, and then struck out in his second at bat. Randy Choate, the great walker of St. Louis.
We're remiss in our duties here. An American leaguer, I feel, one of the great catchers, Carlton Fisk.
Yeah. Well, I think the 2 Pudges, Fisk and Rodriguez, both are worthy of mention. As ball 4, and Siciliani draws a walk. So the Mets have a 1-out base runner. Second walk by Martinez. Those are Carlton Fisk's credentials. And don't forget the one big wave in '75.
Well, he was always a big hero to all of us that grew up in Massachusetts because he was a New Hampshire kid that made it to play for the Boston Red Sox.
And then had a second whole career playing for the White Sox. Jerry Grody, of course, Met fans back in the day would argue Grody and Bench. And of course, Bench was by far the better offensive player, but Grody could hold his own defensively with Bench. Mike Matheny congratulating his pitcher Carlos Martinez in a job well done, out after 100 pitches and 6 1/3 innings. We'll be right back to Citi Field. Series. Jacob deGrom against Jaime Garcia. Coverage begins at 12:30 tomorrow right here on SNY. Randy Choate in for the second straight day to face Johnny Manel, who's up for the second time. The highlight of Choate's day yesterday was not the inning he pitched, it was his plate appearance.
11 years in between plate appearances.
And he got on base for the first time in his career, drawing a walk from Jack Leathersich, much to the delight of his Cardinal teammates. Miguel Sokolovic up in the Cardinal bullpen. Cardinals are still carrying 9 relievers. They'll exercise one tomorrow when they activate Garcia for his start. It'll be Jaime Garcia's season debut. Manel, it's a double play ball. Wong with the tag and the toss for the 4-4-3 double play. Side retired. Choate gets his job done after 7. Still 9-0. Which 3 Mets tied for the club lead in home runs in 1977? Well, I can tell you it was Steve Henderson, John Milner, and John Stearns, but you get to see that.
I was right on 2 of them.
Now, did Henderson hit all 12 as a Met? Because he didn't become a Met until June.
Did he get Rookie of the Year? No.
No.
He had a heck of a second half for him.
He did.
He was a free swinger, swung the bat hard. He never got cheated. He had a hitch like Willie Mays.
Matt Carpenter 1 for 3 and a walk. He goes after the slider from Gilmartin, 1 and 2.
Carpenter has an interesting pre-pitch routine. Once he gets ready, he kind of leans back like he's making sure that he stands straight up and down. So lean back and then straight. Amazing, the hitters and their little picadillos. You know, they each have a different things they do before the pitch comes.
Sound like W.C. Fields.
No batting gloves. You didn't wear batting gloves, Keith, but what did you use to get your grip? You used pine tar
and rosin. Because you put it in rosin, you put the pine tar on, and it still can be a little slippery. And then once you put that rosin on it, that rosin bag, it's super grip.
Now, did you use dirt as well?
No, dirt would get rid of it.
Campbell into the pop-up. One out.
And it wasn't good when you on a wet day, if you got knocked down and you hit the dirt or you got wet, your bat got wet, it would kind of nullify a little bit and you had to go reload back there in the on-deck circle.
Now, when you first came up in the mid-'70s, were most people wearing batting gloves at that point?
Yes, they were starting to, yeah. You know, it was the one big change when I came up in the 70s. It was the first time when non-uniform spikes players started getting contracts with Adidas, Puma.
Hit sharply, and Campbell able to knock it down. Recovers. Borges is out. That's quite a play by Campbell, recovering to get the speedy Borges for the second out.
Nice play. Knocks it down. Just a real nice play. Nothing you can say more than that. Good reactions.
Duda with a good pick at the other end. Kept his foot on the bag, just like a young Keith Hernandez.
So all the criticism was, Gary, that, you know, because it was new and everybody's getting their own contracts. Not everybody.
Adams hits a rocket into right field just beyond Murph's dive.
That man is vicious.
Well, he was slumping badly coming into the series. Doesn't appear to be slumping anymore.
Look at this level swing. It's Sid Vicious right there. You calling him a punk?
Only if he's standing next to Johnny Rotten. Pete Cosmo for the first time. Came in to give Peralta the rest of the day off. Cosmo started at third base last night, went 1 for 4. Gil Martin had retired 5 in a row before that base hit by Adams. Problem with these blowout games when you're at home, got to find an extra inning of relief.
Yeah.
You're on the road and you get blown out, you only have to pitch 8 innings. 8 earned runs, back-to-back games by the starter, first time since 2011. There's Tony Cruz on deck to pinch hit for Molina, so with the innings growing short, they will give Molina the rest of the game off, despite having only 2 catchers.
They listened. Oh. No. I'm sorry, they get another week's rest.
The horses are on the track. Yeah, it's 3 weeks between.
That's right, because of the long race. You're right.
Mile and a half at the Belmont.
I've been to around let's say around a half dozen Belmonts. Paul Hornung invited me to the 125th Kentucky Derby. I was a guest of Paul Hornung, the Golden Boy.
So you've been at the Belmont and the Derby. Preakness?
Nope.
So you haven't quite established the Triple Crown yet.
Probably won't. But the Kentucky Derby was a great experience. And to be in Paul Hornung's home and go down into his basement and see all the trophies, the footballs, it was incredible. Heisman. Inflated or deflated?
Granderson catches Cosmo's fly ball, and that ends the top of the 8th. Did you have a mint julep along the way?
Oh, I had a ton of them. Because you got the souvenir glass. 125th Derby.
Is brought to you by Citi. Citi is calling up a local restaurant to be featured at Citi Field this season. Vote for a favorite now at Mets.com/Citi Callups. New battery in the game for the Cardinals. Miguel Sokolovic pitching. Tony Cruz catching. Curtis Granderson batting. And takes a strike.
There's Tony Cruz. Sokolovic pitched in 51 games in Las Vegas last season. He's pitched in Japan. He's going to be 29 years old this year.
He was Mets property last year. We saw him in spring training of 2014. Carlos Torres will pitch the top of the ninth for the Mets, it would appear. Granderson 1 for 3, had a base hit back in the third when the Mets had their best threat. They loaded the bases with 1 out but didn't score. Carlos Martinez went 6 and a third, allowed no runs, 4 hits, walked 2, struck out 5. Randy Cho threw 3 pitches and got 2 outs, and now Sokolovic working in the 8th. That's been out hit in this game 13-4. They were out hit last night 15-5. So the Mets had the 2 good offensive days against the Brewers over the weekend, but in this series they've scored 4 runs in the 3 games. Granderson bloops one. On comes Grichuk, and he slides to make the catch. Well, Grichuk has not only recovered from his 5 strikeout game, he's made some brilliant catches in this series.
They got some leather out there, these guys, these Cards.
A lot of speed. Yeah. He and Borges can really go.
Wong, Hayward runs. I mean.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Eric Campbell, who flied to left and has been called out on strikes twice. Sharply to Cosma on the backhand. High throw. Adams gets the tag down on Campbell for the second out.
Nice backhand by Cosma. That ball was ripped. That's the big leagues. You make that play, right, RJ?
A better play by Adams.
Stuck Campbell right in the ribs. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Lucas Duda, who's 2 for 3 tonight. Mets have not had a hit since the 4th inning. Well, the Mets will be going to Pittsburgh this weekend. Pirates are stumbling along, 3 games under 500, but they've just rallied from a couple of runs down to tie the Twins in the 8th.
Well, they've been very inconsistent.
That will deny Mike Pelfrey a win tonight. Pelf had a bad outing the last time, but bounced back tonight to pitch well. Here's your Mets box score presented by Chrysler. No runs, 4 hits. Not much in the box score. And Lucas takes a strike. 1 and 2. In that game in Pittsburgh, Andrew McCutcheon is home at his 5th. Boy, they need to get him going. Yeah. John Mayberry would be next if Duda keeps the inning alive. McCutcheon home run tied the game in the bottom of the 8th. See where Pedro Alvarez hit one last night?
Yeah, I heard.
To the Allegheny, right?
Well, he didn't get in the water as Duda drills one down the line, but over comes Hayward and makes the backhand catch. Side retired. He hit it in a boat that was docked on the river right into the well of the boat. Hayward playing that line well. Carlin, Adam Shine, Loudmouths. Loudmouths, weekdays 5:30 on SNY. Carlos Torres will pitch the 9th inning.
Well, this is an opportunity for Carlos, who's been up and down so far in this early part of the season, to try to find it. Try to find what made him so successful last year when he had his breakout year.
Tony Cruz, first man to face him. His first at bat of the night. Cruz had a base hit as a pinch hitter last night. A very nice outing by Sean Gilmartin in this lopsided game. In the shallow center, Murphy calling. 1 out. Gilmartin went 2 innings, no runs, 1 hit. Tomorrow in the final game of the series, your city probables, Jacob deGrom goes for the Mets. And Jaime Garcia, first start of the year, coming back from shoulder issues. And the Cardinals are crossing their fingers that Garcia can regain his form, because they really need him to be their 5th starter now that Adam Wainwright is out for the season.
Well, when he has been healthy, he's been very effective, right?
Yep. Here's Jason Hayward having a good night. Single, home run, walk. 2 for 3. He's driven in 1. He's scored 2. The Mets are hoping that deGrom can back up his last start against Milwaukee, when he was much sharper than he had been in his prior 2. That was a good curve by Torres. 1-1. Foul. Hey, I meant to mention this. See who the Cubs called up yesterday? Mike Baxter.
Oh, nice. Good.
Queens kid is back in the big leagues.
The other hero of that no-no.
Yes, indeed. Well, there were 3. There was Santana, Baxter, and the third base umpire. Campbell with a quick toss gets Hayward at first for the 2nd out.
That was Adrian Johnson. He's here tonight at first, right? You got to know when to throw your no-no before replay.
That's exactly right. Is Santana still working to try and come back?
Yeah, that's what I'd heard, is that he's still trying to do it.
Who's got him? The Orioles, Blue Jays?
The Blue Jays. The Orioles, and then went to the Blue Jays.
Right. Here's Grichuk. RBI double tonight, 1 for 4. And he drives one to center. Lagares back in the gap, and he can't get this one. And Grichuk has another extra base hit. He's going to take the turn at second, and he has his 2nd triple in this series.
Well,
Five strikeouts on Monday, 5 extra base hits the last 2 games for Randall Grichuk.
2 triples and 3 doubles. Is that what you're telling me?
And look at the gallop here. He can fly, this young man.
Throwing 3 terrific catches in this series, and he has really shaken off that platinum sombrero from Monday night. Sokolovich gets the turn at bat and grounds out to Flores to end the inning. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Last licks. 9-0 Cards. Carlin with lots to talk about on Sports Night. They got the Rangers, got Ronnie and Keith having a catch with the kids, and Chris Carlin will be doing his part for the kids as well. Teach them all about the desk jockey business.
That's funny.
John Mayberry will pinch it, leading off in the last of the ninth. Well, if the Mets don't have 9 runs in them in this ninth inning, then for the first time since April 14th, they will no longer have a share of first place because the Nats have just beaten the Yankees 3-2. For Washington, that's now 17 wins in their last 21 games. They started out 7-13, and they're 17-4 since.
Beat Andrew Miller last night with the Zimmerman 2-run home run.
How about Ryan Zimmerman? 10 career walk-off home runs. Mayberry pops it up. Wong out to call. 1 out. Well, the Mets will be looking for the split of the series tomorrow afternoon with DeGrom on the mound.
Well, maybe Harvey started the first game and the Mets were able to win in 14. Maybe DeGrom starts the last game and they can bookend a couple of wins.
You're suggesting we might be here for 14 tomorrow?
No, I would never wish that on you guys.
Oh, that's right. You're not here tomorrow.
That's right.
Well, you weren't here for the first 14-inning game either. Adams short hops it and takes it to the bag to retire Murphy. 5 up and 5 down for Sokolovic. And the Mets are down to their final out of the night.
I got a dinner reservation there at 8:30. Better not.
8:30.
Kidding. Day game tomorrow. Be a nice get there dinner hour. I like Pittsburgh. I do.
Pittsburgh is underrated.
Big time.
I've always felt that way.
Great stadium.
Well, certainly now with that ballpark. But even before that. Wilmer Flores takes a strike. Flores 0 for 3 tonight. 2 for 12 in this series. Mets will have Noah Syndergaard against Garrett Cole Friday night. Talk about a fascinating matchup of hard-throwing young pitchers. Popped up. This should do it. Carpenter makes the call, and the Cardinals wallop the Mets for the second straight day. First time in 8 years the Mets have given up 9 or more runs in back-to-back home games, as the Mets are thrashed by the Cardinals tonight.